All right, 3, 2, 1, hack. It is 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock your time, or the guy in UK. Hey everybody, welcome to the first Q&A. Thank you for 10,000 subscribers. It's been awesome. I really appreciate it. Thought this would just be a chance to informally answer your questions, talk to you guys. So with that, I see there's always like a 15, 20 people in the comment section. So let's just get started. By the way, Mr. Forbes, sorry, I forgot about the UK folks. So let's see. First question, Mover, which did you like flying better, the Hornet or the Viper? Well, it depends. I like them both. The Hornet was a gentleman's aircraft, didn't pull a lot of G's. It wasn't, 7.5 G's, high angle of attack. You could be good with it, fairly easily. However, the F-16 had more power. You could do the double Immelman, which was cool. So you could go up more because you had more power. You could throttle your way out of a lot of BFM mistakes. And it was just a more comfortable airplane. So, if I had to go back, if I had to choose between the two, I'd take the Viper again. But, I mean, they're both really, really good airplanes. Let's see. Next question. So the specific questions, I'm a senior in high school and stuff. In one of the previous videos, I recommend you go back to the how to become a fighter pilot. The second video I did had a bunch of links. It's flyingsquadron.com/forums and guardreservejobs.com. If you go to those, you're going to get the most current information. I haven't done this in a while. I haven't been on a hiring board in a while. I can give you my recommendations because I've done this before, but as far as the most current thing, I recommend going to those forums, getting some information from people that are doing it. Read. You don't have to post right away. You can just read the comments or read the post first and then go from there. So I see this talking about DCS World coming out. That's the other thing too. We did hit the $7,500 mark on DCS. I talked about it in a previous video. On Saturday, I am scheduled to go to, let's see if I can get his name right, Bananimal, who's a guy on DCS forums. He contacted me, lives locally. He's got a real sweet setup. And he's going to come out. Actually, we might get a little bit of local media coverage on it, which will be awesome. Help with the good cause that is the GoFundMe, which, by the way, don't stop now. That's still a good cause. Those guys. So the history behind that, they were my squadron mates. So Hurricane Michael rolls through, and I just so happened to be on Facebook, and one of the guys posted GoFundMe. So I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, insurance companies aren't coming through and stuff like that. So we're going through. We're going to create what's called the Cat Recovery Team because we're the Cats. That's our squadron, and they were going to go out to the community and help those less fortunate. So they've been taking the money that you guys have so generously donated and using it to buy generators, to buy chainsaws and stuff. So it's really been helping out a lot. So I really appreciate what you guys have done, and keep going. They're still, people forget after a tragedy, that the victims are still there. It's a 24-hour news cycle, and just people start forgetting. So let's see what else. But on to this question. I'm a senior in high school. I'm in contact with a Navy recruiter in terms of becoming a pilot. Should I go active duty, get my BA online, go to reserves, and go to college? Man, that's a tough one. If you go through the military first, your degree is going to be paid for. My recommendation on any of this stuff is if you can get a scholarship on your own, do that. Because the fastest, most direct way to a cockpit is going to be either going through the Air Force Academy, going through ROTC, or going through the Guard Reserve. So if you have the means to go get your own degree, that's going to be a lot faster than enlisting, getting enough time in to get the GI Bill and then going from there. So let's see, be a full-time college student. What degree would I recommend? So it doesn't matter. So it's the whole person concept, and it depends on what you do. I would not go if what degree you're getting is less important than what your GPA is. You can have, don't go get, like I said in the other video, don't go get the underwater basket weaving degree and have a 2.5 GPA. Not going to work out well. If you have like a 2.8, 2.9, but it's like a hard science or an engineering degree, you have a lot more of a chance of doing well. And if you've got, 4.0, then, that's a check in the square. It's a whole person concept though. And by that, I mean, it's not just, do you have a 4.0 GPA? Yes. Okay. Well, you're a fighter pilot. There's the interview, there's the scores, AFOQT, and the TBAS to get your PCSM and all that stuff. So there's a lot more to it than that. But I always recommend the most direct route. Question requirements on vision, you're gonna have to look that up. Base ops is a great place for that as far as waivers go. I do not know. I can look it up in the waiver guide. If you want to email me, cwlemoine at cwlemoine.com, I can look it up in the waiver guide. That's about as good as I can do. Let's see, what else? Good evening, Mover. Well, hello. I had a question. What do you think is more important in becoming an Air Force pilot? Grades, test scores, or personality? How much they like you? God. Well, they liked me. That's how I became a fighter pilot, So I told this in my other story. I, had the gall to just call the director of operations one day and say, hey, I want to be a fighter pilot. I was a junior in college. And he liked me. And because he liked me, he gave me a student hire job. I was a GS3, which to me as a college guy making $10 an hour was the greatest thing I'd ever done. So that helped. I still had a 3.3 something GPA, so it wasn't stellar. AFOQT scores were average. They weren't great, but I had a 99 PCSM and I had 100 hours of flight time. So, it's that whole person concept that got my foot in the door, got the job. But, if you have the personality of a brick wall, you're not going to get hired. Well, maybe active duty. I don't know. I've never been through the process, but a reserve unit will not, or a guard unit will not hire a guy that they don't think that they can spend 20 years, because that's what they're hiring you for. They're hiring you for a 20-year career. All right, so let's see. Anyone here from the Canadian Air Force? That's cool. If you are from the Canadian Air Force, hi. I've flown against the Canadian Air Force. They used to come down like a snowbird, Operation Snowbird kind of thing. They would come down every year to Homestead, and we'd fight the Canadian Hornets with the F-16, the Block 30, and one of the coolest thing, we used to the double Immelman I was just talking about. So it's basically where we both go up, and then when we get to the top, we try to go up again. And the Canadian Hornet can't really do that, but the F-16, a clean Block 30 can. And that was the first time, I get to the second one, I'm coming up, and I've still got energy, and I'm just screaming over the top, and the guy comes over the aux rig, and he's like, whoa, because, that airplane was a hot rod, it was almost 30,000 pounds of thrust, and right around 21,000 pounds, in a BFM configuration, so greater than 1-to-1 thrust to weight ratio. It was awesome. Anyway, so hi to our friends to the north. Hi, Mover. You answered a few questions. Hi, Tyler. I do remember. Chosen the Air Force. Good on you. Gonky will not be proud of you. I'm just kidding. Gonky's in the Air Force too now. Let's see. So you're going to take your AFOQT. Do you have any suggestions other than working your ass off every day? I think there's a test prep book. So I get the test prep book and figure out what helps you study. For me, like when I was studying from ATP written, or when I'm studying for anything, the good places I like to study are either by the pool or on cardio equipment, an elliptical or a treadmill or something like that. For whatever reason, it kills the time when I'm doing the cardio, and it helps me study. So just work at it every day and make sure you do well. Let's see. I got an aircrew selection test coming up. That would be my advice, Jonathan. Same thing. Hey, Toddy, thanks for the shirt. So if you guys can see this Toddy just said hello. This is the Skunk Works for my friends at Lockheed. And wearing the hat to support law enforcement because, obviously I've talked about in the other video, and I will do a video on kind of how I got into law enforcement at some point. Hopefully that's something, you guys might enjoy. That's the other thing for the vlog. I don't want it to just be, fighter pilot stuff or aviation stuff. I am going to go back, I'm going to do a track day with the Camaro, and I may break up the playlist or whatever, but, I want to do the track day, the shooting, the guns, and law enforcement stuff, just talking about that. So it's going to get a little bit more diverse as we kind of, set our feet in this. Hello, Shay. Hi, Kip. Hi, Haruna. Is message retracting? Hey, Barb, how you doing? Oh, God. Hold on. Sorry. Bear with me. This is my first time doing this, so I'm trying to figure this out. No, I don't speak Spanish. Let's see. Where was I? All right. Let's see. Justin from Instagram. Hey, Justin. How you doing? All right. Is ROTC a good way to become a fighter pilot? Deuce, good friend of mine. I'm going to try to get him on the channel. He's a weapons instructor pilot now. One of my best friends, probably watching this. If he's in there, say hi. A lot of my pilot training buddies, two of them, my two best friends. One became a Thunderbird, and the other became a weapons instructor, the WIC IP. So absolutely, ROTC is a great way to do it. It's an untapped resource. You can go and have fun in college and do the ROTC experience. It's an absolute valid way to do it. I recommend it, especially if you have a good school. The thing is, the active duty side is needs of the Air Force. So, it depends on how many fighter slots are available once you get to pilot training. So there's just no way to tell. The nice thing about a regard reserve is that you absolutely will know, assuming you make the grades, because you still have to, graduate number one, and you're not number one, but in the top, 50% of your class. So you're still going to have to make the grades, but, you'll at least know where you're going to be stationed and what you're going to be flying. With the caveat, many a pilot have ended up in a fighter unit that have turned into something else. Fort Smith being one of them, they became MQ-9s. Ellington used to have F-16s. Syracuse used to have F-16s. So, I mean, you can't go all or nothing. You have to be willing to serve your country in whatever capacity you have. All right, let's see here. More questions. Hi, hello. Being a crew chief, I don't know if that's a question, but how about LOR for my SNA board? Well, I don't know you. I don't write letters unless you're a letter reprimand. I don't know. But it wouldn't be fair if I wrote LORs for strangers on the internet. That's probably not cool. Favorite plane ever made? Man, it's the Viper. It's got to be the Viper. F-16 is just such a great airplane. What's up, Eric? Where am I from? Louisiana. So I grew up in Louisiana, a small town. In fact, that's one of the coolest things about having 10,000 subscribers is that is the population of the town I grew up in. So, I've actually now, if you conceptualize it, my entire hometown is now watching me on YouTube. Let's see, is ROTC a good way? Yep, that's what I just answered. Hey, Justin, what is your opinion on the Dos Gringos? Man, they're awesome. I used to listen to them. So I don't know what happened to them. I think they all retired, but those songs are very true. Yeah. But they're a different time. They were the early 2000s. I was listening to them in college. So, things have changed a little bit. It's probably not as cool as before, but, there's a song about, being a fighter pilot won't get you expletive deleted no more. That's very true. Chicks do not care if you're a fighter pilot. I will vouch for that. All right. What's the purpose of Air Force and Navy pilot exchanges? Just to get experience from both sides. I mean, it's a joint force, so having that experience of seeing what the other side does, because it is way different. I mean, there's a lot of differences between the Air Force and the Navy. How does training an Air Force pilot to land a carrier benefit if he chooses to fly for Air? Just to get the experience. I mean, so you're building an officer from day one, right? So by doing that, when he goes back to the Air Force, now he understands when he's going to be in a senior leadership position. He understands what the Navy's doing. He understands their limitations. He understands their capabilities. So when he becomes, a general officer later down the road, he's got an experience, and he could bring that back and explain it to everybody else. Have I used the helmet? No, I never got to fly with JHMX, which is the joint helmet mounted. I got to fly with it in the simulator, but I never actually got to use it in the aircraft. Let's see here. Commission Air Force 2, look at commission the guard. From base ops to apply every single fighter unit. Okay, so the question is it feasible to travel to all those bases? So what I would say is I would apply everywhere, and then the ones that are going to invite you, I would go to those. I mean, you gotta look at it realistically. You cast a wide net, whichever one's having a board. And I'd go to the first one that hires you if you don't care where you live. Now, if you care where you live and you absolutely have to be in a certain geographic location, I would apply to that board. I'd visit that place. I would go there. But if you don't care, you just want a fighter, I would, apply to everywhere, and whichever one invites you first. that's the one I would go to. Let's see, what else? T-shirts, no T-shirts yet. Although, we're talking about that the other day. For my book readers, because this is an author vlog, that's what this started out with, which is funny. I started out with 100 and whatever subscribers back in July, and now it's 10,000. But it started out as a book vlog. I write books. I write a Spectre series, and there's an Odin patch, which is real cool. It's a skull. It's a skull with a Vulcan nut on it. And I was thinking about maybe doing something like that. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. But it'd be cool. Are you able to fly the F-16 again? Would you? I am. I would. I would if given the opportunity. Absolutely, I would love to. Am I able to? Would they hire me at this point? I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, it's. I would love to. I would absolutely love to go back and do it again. But being, with 7 years left in my career, and flying the T-38, I don't know. Just as a part-timer, I don't know. I mean, but I'd love to. I'd love to fly in, F-22 or F-35 even. Did you ever actually get a chance to fly the A-10? And if you did, how was it? Man, that's going to be one of my biggest regrets as a, as a fighter pilot, because I was originally hired at an Air Force Reserve A-10 unit down in New Orleans. And I was a student hired down there, but I was also a field engineer for their simulator. So every day I got to fly the A-10 sim, and this is back before the A-10C. This is the old A-10 Alpha. So it was a Suite 3 PE or something like that. So I got to play in the A-10 sim, and I wanted to do that more than anything in the world. And it was, but Katrina happened, Hurricane Katrina 2005, and they were already under a base realignment and closure, so they were going away. And then, I went to the F-16, and then I was trying to get back to Louisiana because I was just talking about geographic. You want to go where geographically makes sense. And for me, it was Louisiana because I had my father had prostate cancer, and I've got a brother with special needs. So I was trying to get back to Louisiana, and Barksdale hired me. They had an A-10 unit down there, and before I could do the paperwork and stuff, the wing commander at Homestead said, "Hey, you might want to reconsider that. They're going away." And under the POM 13, which is the funding plan for 2013, that unit went away. So I'm 0 for 2. I'm actually 0 for 3. I went and interviewed at Moody. Maybe I'll do a video sometime about that. But I actually interviewed at Moody right when the whole kidney thing happened, and I got cleared to go back to fly. So I was going to, one more shot to go do a full-time gig there. And they wouldn't hire me. And the reason they wouldn't hire me was because of the books. They didn't like that I wrote books. They thought it wasn't a good thing. So kind of sad, but it's worked out. I've got my airline job now. I've got, the book thing's actually, doing fairly well. And I've got the T-38 squadron. I mean, some of the best guys I've ever met. I mean, that is a great squadron. That's a great place to be. It's a fun airplane. So I'm pretty happy, where that is now. Let's see, what else? Should I start my commercial or go for my multi-engine first? Are you talking in the context of civilian aviation or military aviation? I would say either of them's, for the military side, either of them's a waste of money. It's not required. The military will teach you everything you need to know. For the civilian side, if you're thinking, I'm going to do airlines and stuff, then let me think about this. If you go... if you get your multi-engine first, then the commercials just to add on. I don't know. I think most people do the commercial and then multi-engine, and then it's an add-on on top of that. But talk to a CFI. But for the mil side, it doesn't matter. Anything above a private, I mean, it's not going to help you because the military flying is going to be different. They will teach you what you need to know. It's more based on hours. Will help you just to air sense. Let's see. Thanks for doing this. Transfer service, or something you wish you knew beforehand to help with the transition. What would it be? All right. So talking about transfer and services, which I've done twice. I've gone Air Force to Navy, back to Air Force. It's a long process. I still don't have some of the service total, some of the point stuff still hasn't transferred yet, which the hurricane kind of put a damper on that. So when we get back to an operational side, I'm going to try to get that fixed. But stuff I wish I'd have known. any medical stuff. So when you do this, they treat you like they've never heard of you before. They don't treat you like you're, a rated aviator. So you got to have patience, and you got to expect it to take a while. I mean, Gonky, I think it took 6 to 9 months, and then obviously mine took, Jesus. I mean, I got hired in 2015, and I showed up. It's 3 years. So it takes a while. Be patient, but have all your paperwork in order. Have copies of every set of orders you've ever done. Have copies of all your performance reports, your fitness reports. Have copies of everything ready to go, and be able to go access a doctor. Because they're gonna want new waivers for everything you've ever gotten a waiver for. Even if it's something silly, because there's no such thing as permanent in the military. It's one thing I learned. It's just so much bureaucracy. Let's see, what else? I hope you guys are enjoying this, by the way. I mean, I'm having fun answering these questions. How did you train not to shoot down a friendly during an in-close aerial engagement? So that's called a fratricide, and we talk about it in training. It is a big deal, especially when you're practicing. I've had one in my career, training wise, not real life, but it is a big deal. When it happened to me, the radar just went from one aircraft to the other, transferred lock, and I shot, simulated, and shot down my group commander, and I had to go in front of the squadron. I had to buy a keg, and I had to brief it. And it's something you just always have to know what you're shooting. It's just like in law enforcement, know what's on the other end, and don't get too trigger happy. You can get caught up in the moment, and but you just have to keep your situational awareness and make sure you know what's on the other end there. Let's see. Hope that answers it. I mean, it's really just you just have to know. I mean, it's easier in combat because most of the time it's not going to be an F-18 or an F-16 you're fighting in a visual engagement. It's going to be like a flanker or a MiG-29 or a MiG-21 or something. So it's going to be kind of obvious. But F-16 versus F-16s were really tough. Let's see. What type of cargo plane would you be most excited to fly? None. Mover, thank you so much. The knowledge you impart and make available to these kids is fantastic. I'm an old guy. Yes, yeah, and that's the thing. That was the biggest hit. The video that took off was my story, which I'm humbled. I'm amazed that even became a thing. But I was kind of debating whether to even keep doing that. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, if these videos inspire one person, that saves a platoon full of Marines on the side of a hill, or end up becoming, the first person on Mars, I won. These videos have been worth it, and I'm honored and humbled that that's what this has become, and I hope that someday you will say, hey, look, the reason I'm a fighter pilot is because I watched a YouTube video and I realized that I absolutely could do it. I could do it. I thought there was no chance because everybody's told me you got to be an astronaut to be a fighter pilot. It's impossible. And then I watched this video, and holy crap, it's just normal guys. I mean, and we'll get more people on the channel. You'll notice the common theme is that these people overcome adversity, and it's always something else. People have to overcome these small hurdles, sometimes big hurdles, but it's not. You cannot defeat yourself before you start. That's why I say I wrote an article about it, make them tell you no. Don't be the one. You make somebody else tell you no. Don't tell yourself no before you even start. All right. What are your thoughts in regards to continuous turn from downwind to final? I mean, that's just the way it's done. The final turn. I don't know. It's great. I mean, do more. I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying. I'm reading these real. I probably should read them and then read them out loud, but we're live, so whatever. Have you ever seen anything unexplainable while flying? I've seen unexplainable things, but not UFOs, just from people doing stupid things. Why are A-10 squadrons called fighter squadrons? Isn't the A-10 a ground attack plane? Yeah, we call them fighter guys. We want to make them feel included. They're kind of sensitive. I'm just kidding. A-10 guys are awesome. They're probably some of the best guys. Some of the best pilots. I mean, it's just the way it is. They're fighter tech. They do carry AIM-9s, and in fact, if I can get T-Bear on this show, which he said he would, he's got a great story about a time he took a commit, which means, you know, they're pointing at downrange at a MiG-29. So they were in Iraq. MiG-29 is coming down track. He takes a commit on a MiG-29 as a two-ship, and all he had was an AIM-9. It's a great story, and I'm going to make him tell it. So that makes him a fighter pilot, I guess. So, no, I don't speak Spanish. I think that's what you're saying. So right now, my biggest fear is that I'm not smart enough, dude. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So Drew says, my biggest fear is I'm not smart enough to get a pilot slot or not smart enough. Stop that. You are smart enough. Don't defeat yourself. Make somebody else tell you you're stupid. Don't tell yourself you're stupid, because you're not stupid. And, you know, there is no smart enough or not. You can do it. Don't self-eliminate before you've even, you know, tried. You know, our doubts are our traitors, you know. So Wyatt, F-16 versus F-18 depends on what you're doing. You know, if you're doing a close-in knife fight, the F-18's got more maneuverability. But some energy fight stuff, the F-16's just got so much more power. And you know, I never lost to a Hornet when I fought in the F-16 versus the F-18. I never got to fly. So it's funny. I fought F-16 versus F-18 a lot when I was flying the Viper, and never lost. The F-15, however, the one time I fought one in the F-16, it gave me a lot of trouble. I mean, we were neutral pretty much the whole time. The guy was really good. But when I went to the Hornet, I fought a Hornet versus an F-15, and it wasn't even close. I mean, the Hornet, it was just so easy against the F-15. So I don't know if there's transitive properties of what's better, but, you know, depends on it depends. It's standard answer. Hi, Drew. I'm going to start answering these again and again. Let's see here. Currently flying King Airs. Cool. How much of a leg up would I have generally against the other candidates? You know, Gonki talked about that when we interviewed him. You'd probably do well in contact, and that's about where it ends. And the reason I say that, you're going to have air sense, you're going to kind of understand some of the basics of instrument flying and stuff like that. But when you get into military flying, I mean, you've never done formation, maybe, I don't know, maybe you have, but you know, it's the aerobatics, the formation, the instrument procedures are even different. I mean, the 11-214 is different than the way we do stuff in the civilian world. It's all different. So it could be good in that you'll have more air sense, and that you'll have situational awareness, but it could also be bad, because the hardest thing to do is to break bad habits. So it could go either way. You know, I've known guys that were, you know, regional pilots that struggled. You know, they had 1,500-1,600 hours or more, I guess, 2,000 hours, and they struggled. They did not do well because it was hard to break those habits, and a lot of their flight time was point A to point B, which is not what we're doing in the military. It's just a different type of flying. All right. My nephew's in KC-135 school. Awesome. Thank you for your service. Do fighter jocks and tanker jocks hang out together? Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're people. We hang out. Yeah, absolutely. You know, for TDY or whatever, I'll, you know, hang out with tanker. I've got friends from pilot training who are tanker pilots. You know, it's absolutely. I'm an aviation student. Chase writes, aviation student, and I'd love to hear your insight on aviation from the military perspective. That's his channel. So cool. Hi, Taylor. All right, Shay. I swear no. Okay. Hey, Mover. What's the fastest you've flown in, and in what aircraft? All right, F-16. So I went out one day. In the F-16, we didn't get a lot of chances to go solo to the airspace. In the Hornet, man, I flew probably 50-60% of my flights by myself. And that's just because we didn't have other airplanes to fly against. Maintenance, it was kind of rough for a while there. But in the F-16, it didn't really happen a lot. So the opportunity to go out and do something fun wasn't there. But I did get one chance to do it. And so I was a young guy. So I went up to 50,000 feet and, you know, just went straight down an afterburner, because that's kind of what I'd heard. There's kind of a technique to it. So I hit 1.86. Mach 1.86, and it was right around 800 knots. I mean, it was pushing the limit, because 800 knots was the limit, the speed limit for the airframe for the F-16, and you know, it was right at 800 knots and 1.86. I couldn't hit Mach 2. Guys do Mach 2 all the time on the functional check flights when they go up to the airspace, but I couldn't hack that. All right. Have you ever had experience with the Royal Australian Air Force? No. That would be cool, though. I saw an ad, or a friend of mine was telling me about an exchange tour, and I thought that would have been cool. Let's see. What else? Let's see. The Canucks are lucky they have their T6s. Yeah. Currently flying a King Air. Oh, are we back? How am I? How far am I? I look like a pedophile. Thanks, Shirley. You too. Where are we? Is Jrotc the same as CAP? No, Jrotc is not the same as CAP. The Civil Air Patrol is it's like it's an Air Force auxiliary, and they do search and rescue missions, and they do stuff like that. Jrotc is a commissioning source for the actual Air Force, and it's in college. So no, those are two different things. Do I have any buddies in the F-22? Yeah, I mean our squadron. So our reserve squadron it's composite. We have F-22 guys and T-38 guys. So yeah, I've got friends. One of my good friends is an F-22 guy. Let's see. Go with these comments. It's hard to keep up here. All right. Good evening, mover. Let's see. Canucks. Currently flying King Air. How much of a leg up? Nope, we did that one already. Hi, move. Oh, hi again. Personal thoughts on the current pilot shortage. It's a retention problem, not a recruiting problem. The pilot shortage is more driven by keeping O4s and senior O3s. They're having trouble with that because the airlines are more competitive as they get on. People get burned out, and the culture has been an issue. So it's not there is no recruiting. It's not a shortage of qualified applicants. It's a shortage of it's many years of they did the TAMI 21 where they were sending guys to UAVs. They had so many issues. So. How many hours logged in the F-16, F-18? About 1,000 in the F-16 and 400-ish in the F-18. Not as many. Have I created sonic booms in the Gulf of Mexico? Yes, all the time. Yeah, I mean that's where our airspace was. Let's see what else. Have you ever been to Collins Found? Have you ever of the Collins Foundation? I don't know. No, I don't know what that is. All right, what do you enjoy more? Fighter flying, airline flying, sheriff deputy, or writing books? Oh man, that's a tough one. Well, it depends on it depends. I would rank it fighter flying. It's always fun. It is very rare that you have a non-fun day flying fighters. I love writing books. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's been great. I've been doing it for 5 years, a little over 5 years, and I absolutely love it. Airline flying, it's just a job. I mean, it's good flying. I've learned a lot. It can be challenging. It's a good living, but as far as enjoyment, it ranks pretty low on that. And then sheriff's deputy, I love it. I mean, it's fun. I like the guys I go out and serve with. Sometimes you get some pretty exciting calls that. Or an adrenaline rush. I think, it's more of an adrenaline rush to run code to a hot call or to do a traffic stop than it is to fly, supersonic or anything like that. I mean, it's just because it's me out of my element. And there's been a lot of training, and I think it's a great opportunity. Let's see, who's a Thunderbird pilot? His call sign is Tuna, and he's no longer a Thunderbird pilot, so I won't give that up. Have you ever met Polish fighter pilots? No, have not. I didn't get to go fly with those guys or anything like that. Let's see here. Best effective cold call or cold message a unit. It depends. That's tough because every unit's different. Every unit's going to have its personality. I would recommend doing your research first. And that's why I say go to the website, theflyingsquadron.com forums. That's baseops.net is what it used to be. I think it still is. You can go to baseops and stuff. Find out if the unit's having a board. For example, I posted this a while back, Montgomery. When they have a board, they post it on their website. And they are very specific in their instructions, and by following their instructions and not just cold calling them, you're showing attention to detail and you're showing that it's something you want to do. So. Let's see here. Have you ever been to Savannah? No, I have not. Although Where it says you can be a fighter pilot out of their base. I don't know what they have that you do that. We go to Savannah. There's exercises out of Savannah. That could be referring to like some kind of planner job, but that's not a UPT or anything like that. Happy to answer your question, Dakota. Gonky went to UND, so that was, yeah, you got that in common. Worked out for him. Serious emergency, the situation almost became very serious. Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, you know, I've had, you know, engine problems, hydraulic problems, electrical problems. I mean, it happens, you know, anytime you're getting in a checklist, you know, it's something, you know, it could be, but, you know, I mean, I've been lucky, you know, things have gone well for me. I mean, you know, sometimes it doesn't happen. You know, 2 days ago, we lost a really good pilot at Laughlin. So, you know, it just, you know, it's tough. Sometimes, you know, it happens. And a year ago at Laughlin, same thing happened, you know, so yeah, it just, oh, let's see here. Dakota, when are you going to UND? Okay, that's for you guys. Would you rather have flown the Tomcat or the Hornet? Ooh. Tomcat would have been fun. Not a big fan of having somebody in the back, though. I mean, I'd rather have the extra gas. Let's see. Okay, so we did the F-22 thing. I must have been scrolling up for that one. What was your experience like the first time you flew in the Viper? It's a kick in the pants. I mean, you're flying the T-38, which is underpowered for the most part. I mean, it's got an afterburner, but, and then I'll tell you, Luke is where I flew the F-16, and those are Pratt & Whitney engines, Block 42s, or sorry, we had Block 25s. Not really that powerful F-16, but compared to a Block 30 Big Mouth, the best experience I had was on my first flight in the at Homestead, which is the first time flying the Block 30. We were doing a takeoff, and it was just an advanced handling ride. So we'd go out, we'd do some maneuvers, we'd tank and go back. And he said, okay, since we're tanking, we're clean, we can do an afterburner takeoff, which when you're clean, you do military power, which is, you know, it's not as much. It's like a 13,000 foot runway at Homestead, and we were doing almost 500 knots by the end of the runway. It was just, I mean, the acceleration was incredible. I mean, that airplane would go. It's a hot rod. Let's see. Do I need any flight hours before joining the Air Force Reserves, or Texas Air Guard? No. Desired, not required. Nobody, I don't know of anybody that has it. Did you ever have the chance to fly with Dan Hampton? No. Closest you've ever been to a major emergency? You know, I mean, the lightning strike is about as close to as I've been to watching somebody jump out of an airplane because he was incapacitated. That video, you can find it somewhere, but I actually told that story. But I think the lightning strike was kind of the closest I've been to something really, really bad happening. Can you explain more about your participation in volunteer law enforcement? Yeah, I'll do a video on that. But long story short, I went through the entire Post Academy. Post is the certification, so I'm no kidding. I can go be a full-time deputy, but I volunteer as a reserve deputy sheriff here in the local parish on a monthly basis. Let's see. You mentioned rushing the Air Guard base in one video. What's the best way to do that? Is there any way to work at the Air Guard base to get to know people? The best way to do it is to research it, find out when they're having a board, and then contact the pilot that's in charge of hiring, not the recruiter. Recruiters are later in the end game, but find out who's in charge, and then find out when they're having meet and greets, and find out when they're having the actual UPT board, and when you can submit a package. And then when they give you the instructions to submit the package, follow it to a T. I mean, do exactly what they ask for, because again, it's kind of a test of attention to detail. All right. Hi, I'm almost 18, have a low GPA my whole life. Wondering if you have any suggestions, alternatives to high grades to fly in the military. High grades in high school don't really matter as long as you can still get a college degree. But if you can keep it in that 3.0-ish range, you'll be okay. I mean, you're just going to have to figure out study habits that are going to, you know, it's work ethic. you're going to have to buckle down, study, and do the work, because when you get to pilot training, there's academics. You're going to have to pass and make the grades. Do you know if the Air Guard offers the same or different MOSs as the Air Force? Is the same, exact same. If you're rushing a 135 unit, thanks. Follow back to Insta. Let's see. That's not actually a question. I'm freshman in college. What's the best way to prepare, maximize my chances until then? Keep your GPA high, stay in shape, and hi T-Bear, you're watching me. Nice. You're going to be on this channel, hopefully. Let's see. Also, I would, if you can, go get some flight time. It helps. If not, no big deal. Oh, there you go. So Romeo Lima Bravo answered the question from before. Commercial first, then multi. That way your multi is a commercial multi, not a private multi. There you go. That's the one I would do. Let's see. As a 17-year-old junior in high school, what is my best route to flying in the Navy? Probably getting a Naval Academy appointment. But, if you go ROTC, you'll probably be okay. Have you ever done any glider flying? No. How hard is it in the classroom physically to become a pilot in the Navy? I mean, the classroom is pretty tough. Gonky can answer that question a lot better than I can, because I don't know. But I mean, in the Air Force, ground school, you're learning the principles of flight, aerodynamics, all that stuff. So yeah, there's definitely some to it. And physically, you have to pass the PT test, which 1.5 mile run, and then the push-ups and sit-ups. In the Navy, they make you actually go swim 1 mile and back in full gear. So you have to be in pretty good shape. It's not that easy. How easy is it to transfer from a fighter pilot to a commercial pilot? Or you prefer where pilots that didn't go through the military? So it's not really a transfer. Once you've got the right amount of time, fighter guys get a conversion, because we're not it's like a 0.3 or something per sortie, and that's because every hour we fly is 100% us. We're aviating, navigating, and communicating the entire time, versus crew aircraft where one person might be flying, one person might be monitoring, stuff like that. So that does kind of help you out. There is a little bit of preferential treatment, I think, for a fighter, but the transition, once you have the time, you go apply to the airline, and then you'll get get a job, hopefully. No, I've not flown the RAF yet. Fly the new 737. Does a liner crash cause you concern with the newer 737s? No. There's been directives out on it. There's probably going to be some more training off of that incident, but I'm not, particularly concerned. I think our training department's pretty good, and we'll figure it out. You prefer to get pilot's license before pilot training, or just learn in pilot training? I would recommend getting your pilot's license, because I think it will help you with an air sense as you go. I think it will help you out. Have you conducted an arrest as a reserve officer? Yes, I've got some really funny arrest stories of that. Yeah, I've done a few. Yeah, that's a whole different blog by itself. Do you think it would be just as difficult to transfer from the Navy Reserve to the A&G? That's essentially what I did. Navy Reserve to the Air Force Reserve. So yeah, it'd be the exact same process. Be just as much of a pain. Can I do any career that I want while being A&G pilot? If you mean, yes. Once you finished all your training, all your seasoning and stuff, yeah, you can do. The guys are bankers. Some guys are do other jobs. Now realize that you're still going to have to give enough time to the unit to maintain currency. So it's not just going to be, you're going to have to have a job that allows you to give 8 to 10 days a month to that. Which some jobs, airline jobs are really flexible and let you, they'll allow you to do it because of the way the schedule works. But some jobs. For example, when I was at Homestead, I went through the entire FBI special agent hiring process up to a conditional job offer. And right around that time, I got 3 years of orders through the Air Force. And the FBI said, well, it's a key federal position. You're going to have to resign because we need you. You're not going to be able to do that. And I said, no, I want to keep flying fighters. So, some jobs you just can't do because, the requirements are just too high on both and you can't juggle it. I don't think she was right, by the way. All right, let's see. There's Shirley with the pedophile. Thank you very much. Did you ever fly the T6? Yes, I flew the T6. Study the gouge, man. I mean, it's not that hard. Easy airplane. It's a fun airplane. It's a good cross-country airplane. I enjoyed it. What do you think of the latest T-38 crash? What do you think of the TX? It's tragic. I mean, the thing about it, if your plan is to be a fighter pilot, one thing you'll learn is that you don't want to speculate. I mean, let the safety investigation board do its thing. Let the accident investigation board do its thing. Because we speculate, I mean, we're not doing them justice, when we try to figure out what happened without all the facts. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. It's very tragic. A very good person lost his life, and we will mourn that. And that's kind of what we think about right now. The TX, I don't know enough about it. I mean, I know I'll probably never fly it. So I'm sure if they can get an IOC in a reasonable amount of time, sure, it'll be great. Yeah, there you go. There's the next question. Do you think you'll get to fly the new Boeing trainer? No, I don't think so. Waiver, if you had the choice of Tomcat, I answered that. Does your agency use plain talk or 10 codes? 10 codes. Everything. It's 10 codes. Which, for those that don't know, plain talk is where you just say what's happening. I got a burglary in progress or whatever, and 10 codes are where you're actually, we've got a 62A in progress. Yeah, that's 10 codes. All right. Ben says, taking my test tomorrow. Well, good luck, man. Going in next year. Do I have any advice? Just study hard. Do good work. You should collaborate with DJ Aircrew Life. Okay, I don't know who that is though. John writes, I like your videos, very interesting. I have a question. I'm 20 years old, not an American. I want to join the Air Force, be a fighter pilot. Serving the USA, is it possible? There's a way. You have to be a U.S. citizen. So if you can become a U.S. citizen, yes, there's a way. But yeah. Next question, Pilot to Pilot podcast. There's a fighter pilot podcast that contacted me that we're going to do pretty soon. I don't know. But Eurofighter F-22? F-22. All day long, F-22. 2 MFDs versus 3 MFDs, preferences? Whatever the airplane I'm flying has, I don't care. Okay, let's see. Appreciate y'all you do for everything. My biggest fear with ROTC and active duty is the needs of the Air Force when it comes to getting a fighter. Is this the wrong attitude? Should I quit ROTC and go guard? The needs of the Air Force is something you're just going to have to, yeah. I mean, it's not the wrong attitude. I mean, you have to look out. So T-Bear, who's on here, probably still, I hope he's still watching. If you're still watching, hi T-Bear. Give me some great advice. You have to, sit on your back porch and decide if you want to serve your country. If you can be proud putting on the uniform and serving your country, everything else is secondary. And, as I've learned, I spent 2 years at a Navy meteorological weather squadron while I waited for the transfer. You're not always going to fly. So, at this point in your career, I would cast a wide net. I would apply to the guard units that you like, but I would also, if ROTC, because you can always too. I mean, they have allowed people to go from one to the other. So, there are active duty commissioning programs or cross training programs that you can go be a pilot. All right, let's see. What are your thoughts on RPA pilots and sensory operators for the Air Force? I have no opinion. That sucks. I mean, it sucks for a pilot to have to go do that job. It's a valid mission, but I'd rather, a button seat. I'd rather a pilot in the airplane, doing the mission. All right, Assyrian King. Oh, wow, okay. I'm in the process of applying for Navy flight school. I'm 26 and wonder if it's kind of late to join, given that I'll be discharged at the age of 37. Why would you be discharged at the age of 37? No, the age is 30. I don't know what the Navy is. Now in the Air Force, they're doing waivers up to 33, but now that 26 is not too old. Drew says, sorry, I sent so many messages. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just working through these here. Sorry if I miss you guys. I know we only have a couple minutes left. Let's see here. What is your favorite military flight gear to wear in combat? I just wear what they give me. I do like the Wiley X fingerless gloves because you can use a touchscreen. But yeah. Oh, somebody says Spectre Rising and Avoid Negotiate Kill. Yes, please buy those books. Support the channel. Leave a review on Amazon if you like it. Don't leave a review if you don't like it. I'm just kidding. You can be honest, but yeah, buy the books. It supports the channel. The Absolute Vengeance series audiobooks are coming out soon, and or should be coming out soon. And I'm working on a Spectre Book 8 that's got a lot of flying stuff from some of the other stuff I've gone. TC says, love the hat. Thank you. So the shirt is the Skunk Works and the hat is Thin Blue Line, Support Law Enforcement. So I'm sorry if it makes me look like a pedophile. Let's see. How's the DCS F-18? I'll find out on Saturday. So hopefully next air. Please get an F-22 guy on here for a live stream, sure. But I mean, fighter pilot's a fighter pilot. He's going to tell you it's great when it works. Let's see. Just letting you know, you should probably scroll to the bottom. You're on comments that were posted about 20 minutes ago. Look, I'm just going through them, man. The reason I was scared, smart enough, acceptance rate. My son and I pronounce your last name differently. Lemoine. That's how you say it. Lemoine. I don't know if you've answered this, but how you got call sign mover? Go to the first video I ever posted. Story's there. I won't spoil it. What was your main drive to switch to civilian? I needed a job. You know, I applied and, you know, I needed a job. I had the kidney thing happening and I didn't think the Air Force transfer was going to happen. So how do we know you're a real pilot? I don't know. Good question. Let's see. Injuries caused by dynamic maneuvering. Have you or your people known adverse health effects? Yeah, you'll get back from neck problems. Absolutely. You know, yeah, that'll happen. Colin talks about fix to fix. Guess what? That's not in the syllabus anymore. They got rid of that. You believe that? Yeah, fix to fix suck. Okay, so I can't add the dogs to the channel, but one of my Kaiser, who I've talked about before, is here right now trying. Here he is. He should probably be on the channel too. Anyway, all right. So back to the question. Sorry. How much fun is the 38? A lot. I would say that. Yeah. Have you ever had to punch out? No, thankfully. Knock on wood. Have you ever flown the F-22? No. I don't think I'll ever get to do that. I was a Hornet jet mechanic. Thank you for your service and be safe. You know, if you're still in law enforcement. Let's see. Hope to see you on the line someday. Absolutely. How is having a relationship while being a naval aviator? You'll have to ask Gonky now. Go to EOLANS. Post that in the comments. Gonky will definitely answer your question. So, what airport is the most challenging to land at? I think for us, you know, on the 737, it's got to be Orange County. DCA can be kind of a challenge, and LaGuardia. As far as, you know, fighters, who cares? That's motherhood. Nobody cares about that. Let's see what else. Being a pilot in a Leo, are you one of the armed pilots? Yeah, that's even if I could tell you that, I wouldn't. I have a Tourette syndrome, was diagnosed when I was really young. I'm now 16. That's another one of those. You go to the flying squadron, post it in the medical forum. You're my role model mover. Honestly, I only found your channel a few weeks ago. How do I get flight hours in high school? Civil Air Patrol. I mean, go join your local Civil Air Patrol. There's a lot of good ways, you know, without being independently wealthy, you can do it. So I'd recommend the Civil Air Patrol. Let's see here. Any ETA on the DCS videos? How in-depth will it be? Can we as viewers ask for certain things to review on top of your initial comparison? All right, so here's the DCS thing. And Gonky and I were actually talking about this. I don't know if we talked about it on a video or not, but here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff in the Hornet that's classified, and tactics are classified, weapon systems are classified, and WAGS has talked about throttling stuff back because of the classification. You know, we obviously don't want our enemies to get information. So what this video that I'm doing this weekend, hopefully probably be a two-part video, one on Monday and the following Monday, it's just fun. It's just going to be me going out. I haven't flown the Hornet in 2 years, just to try it again, see how comparable it is to the actual airplane, button pushes and stuff, knowing that it's an open or it's a beta model. It's not going to be a tactics demo. It's not going to be I'm not going to do any BVR long range stuff or anything like that, just because I can't. I mean, the fact that you guys know that I'm a fighter pilot, I've flown this airplane, limits what I can do, because I can't go out and show the world what we do. It's just not going to happen. So, and I apologize for that. I know that's disappointing, but it's I don't want to go to jail. All right, let's see. I'm off to work. Hopefully, yep, I will upload this. I don't know what's not true, but okay. Would you be willing to fly an Airbus? Yeah, gee, that's a comfortable. There's a lot of room for activities in that cockpit. It's just now I'm in a 2 years. Or now to switch to the Airbus, I would have to get a 2-year seat lock, and at this point, I'm getting to the point where I'm getting closer to like a 777 or a 767 or whatever, and I just don't want to incur that 2-year seat lock. What civilian aircraft is as close as possible performance to a fighter jet? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know of a single one. I don't know. How much more do AF fighter pilots fly than A&G? None. It's the same. I mean, I flew more than my, depending on whether you deploy, back in my day, I flew more than my active duty counterparts, but then when they deployed, they flew more. I was flying 250 hours a year, which was really high, but that was a different time. There's no difference. If you are full-time in a guard squadron, or full-time in an active duty squadron, or full-time reserve squadron, you're gonna fly the exact same amount of time. Let's see. How was the grading done in pilot training? What was the required grade for fighters? It's a scale from unsatisfactory to excellent. So, goods. You're compared to your peers. You have a commander's ranking. You're compared to what everybody else is doing, and then kind of what the average is. So you just want to stay in that top 50% there. Do you know if A&G pilots are eligible or encouraged to apply to test pilot school? Yes. Yeah, there are test pilot slots. You can actually go be a Thunderbird too, as a military reserve pilot. Is military trying to get rid of fighter pilots with drone pilots? No. Do you know Japan? I'm familiar with that country, yes. How do you become an F-22 pilot? If you're active duty, it drops. It's the assignment night. It's just what's available. You can go to Hickam. Hickam's got, the Hickam Air National Guard. They've got F-22s, or Langley also. Let's see what else. DJ says the same thing. You do reserve pilot, AAFO. He flies C-17 now. Cool. What are some jobs that okay, what are some jobs that A&G reserve pilots do on the side other than airlines? I knew a guy that did real estate. I know a guy, Gonky. Gonky does real estate. I've known guys that do like banking, had their own small business and stuff. I mean, there's all kind of different things. Some guys do net jets. Lottery idea guy here. How much longer do you think the F-18 will be in service? Probably a while. I mean, because the Super Hornets, there's still fairly new Super Hornets out there. I think it'll be a while. What are your thoughts about the A-10? I love it. I think it's an awesome airplane. Hello, CW from Down Under. Thank you. Just want to say thanks for the business. F-16 is through 2020. I know. Oh, so somebody's answered. I am really far behind here. No, add the dogs. Yeah, the dog. Yeah, I saw that, huh? Let's see here. Have I flown the Max yet? Yes. It flies a little bit better. It's a little bit easier to fly than the regular NG, and that's actually because of the Max that they just MACS that they just talked about in the news that nobody knew that they had. Yeah, you won't get to see Mover kick ass and take names in the DCS lobby, and I'm sorry. So what did I do over the weekend? What's a weekend? Work. Have you considered reaching out to Jello? Jello actually reached out to me, so that is forthcoming. We're gonna collab at some point in the near future. Thank you from a 12-year-old here in Nebraska. keep doing what you're doing, man. You'll get there. Let's see. Can you have scoliosis and be a military pilot? I don't know. That's probably the waiver guide. It probably depends on to what level. How are pilots? So the slots for specific planes in training, they have a drop night, and then you get a ranking. So the #1 guy in his class who's done the best will get first choice, and then it goes all the way down from there. So yeah, it's definitely grades in training. Sniper wants equal time. Oh yeah, Sniper's too short to make it in this video, and we've already hit our hour, so now we're just on borrowed time here. How hard is it to get a pilot slot in JROTC? Impossible. You don't want to go to JROTC's high school. ROTC is what you're looking for, and it just depends on where you are. So let's see. I'm going to try to skip down to the bottom here, what I can see. Oh, this is the bottom. Okay. Can you get a waiver for allergies? Yeah, you're going to have to. That's that thing. Oldest age into the Air Guard. The oldest age I've seen, in the 35, 34, 35. It just depends on the unit. Not much older than that. Privileged Capitalist says just completed a solo for his private pilot's license the other day in Texas, and was wondering if there's a particular college or even recruiter. Well, first of all, congratulations. I hope they cut your shirt. Particular college or recruiter I should talk to after obtaining it? Not really. Just go get a degree and then start working it from there. F-15 or F-18A versus C. Gonky would be better. The F-18's lighter nose. The A+ is a much lighter nose. So yeah, A+ is a little bit better, but the C's got more toys. It's got more displays and stuff. What quick advice you'd give someone who's enlisted and would like to become a fighter pilot? Ideally, A-10s. Go rush a guard unit. And if you're enlisted in that guard unit, start making your presence known and make that happen. Let's see here. Oh, we are out of time, but I will answer one more question at the end here. I thank you guys for everything. What is the scariest? We've talked about that. Block 30 versus Block 50. Either way, you win. They're both awesome aircraft. Block 50's obviously got some more toys in it. Yeah, I'll do a video from that. All right, how much of your writing is from personal experience? It depends. That's the. Yes, there are things that I've written from my personal life into my writing. I've used situations like in Avoid, Negotiate, Kill. The funeral scene where he gives the eulogy is almost verbatim when I gave the eulogy at my dad's funeral. I have pulled things from my real life. It's still fiction. Some people think that it's about them, but it's really not. I mean, there's some coincidences and some similarities just because, sometimes that's just the way it works out for different places. But I try to keep it as separate as possible. So anyway, that's it for now. We're out of time. Full hour. I'm probably not going to be able to talk after this. Stay tuned Monday. I hope I will have the video for the DCS Part 1. We're going to go do that this weekend, assuming everything goes as planned. And then we'll probably make that a 2-part series. And I've got a low-level video that the scariest flight I've ever had in the Hornet. So stay tuned. This has been a blast. I really appreciate it. I hope the subscriber total keeps going up. We'll do these more if this is what you guys want. And let me know what kind of other videos you'd like to see. Whether you'd rather law enforcement, fighter stuff, airline stuff. The airline video didn't do that well, so I probably won't talk about airline stuff all that much. I guess it's not that interesting, but for the the fighter stuff, the law enforcement or cars or whatever, just let me know. So hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.